Michael, we kind of joked about it, but almost a relief that we can now just talk about football for the next few months, certainly until December.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's always good for the window to shut. I think every head coach, manager, there's loads going on between that time. Obviously, football matches and things like that. So I'm really pleased it's shut, and I'm really pleased with what we've done. We talked about having more strength in depth and the quality as well. So yeah, I feel like the group's really strong and ready to kick on.
As a coach, can it be quite unsettling? There's been a lot of talk about trying to get the window to sort of close to the start of the season. However hard you try, you don't know if there's a ridiculous offer around the corner for one of your players. So planning can be, however hard you try, quite difficult.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always, like you say, it's unsettling because of the unknown. But if you've got the processes behind the scene, and Jez, the recruitment team, Liam, all of us are talking daily on ins and outs, if you like, and like you say, what offers come and what our targets look like and how far we are down the line. So I think it's more about working really hard behind the scenes, as we kept saying, to make sure that we've got everything in line that we want. So I think that's why it's difficult, because not only are you trying to manage the team, coach on the grass, there's all that stuff going on in all hours, if you like, and as it gets closer to the window, as everybody knows, things speed up. But yeah, I'd say sometimes it's more unsettling for the players, because they can be gone in a day or someone comes in a day. So I think what's really nice is once it shuts, the groups who you want to go and have battles with and work with, and there's no more unsettling, if you like, and an uplifting of lives.
In this sort of stage, you're always looking, aren't you, at learning the lessons from past seasons. Can we see that in part in your squad, in the sense that you have options, but also you have maybe a bit more depth than you had in the past? Yeah,
I think we know we get to the Christmas time and we seem to pick up injuries like every team. I think what we need to get is the balance. No one wants squads too big and players not playing enough, but you don't want them too short in areas that hurts you. And touch wood, through the first 5 or 6 games, we've done well with injuries with a shorter squad, and now it's about kicking on and moving forward and trying to keep getting points on the board when we know winter comes and the hard months come again, and the Saturday, Tuesday like we've just gone through. We're going to need everybody. We're going to need all the bodies. And what I really excited about is the depth of quality within everybody.
When I spoke to Jez on deadline day, he kind of joked, but obviously there's a seriousness to it as well. He wanted to make sure that the team was able to get some goals in December. And is that part of the decision with Justin coming in, that, look, you don't know what's around the corner, don't you, in terms of injuries, so you want to make sure you're covered?
Yeah, I think there's lots of things that go into those decisions. One is the quality of the player, and one is the financial aspects of the jigsaw puzzle, and then have we got depth? Do we want more depth just in case? So we've got quality strikers in the building, as you know. We've got quality all around the areas, but one thing we don't want to be is caught out with not having the depth in those areas. So yeah, we're really pleased with absolutely everybody from start to finish. I know we can talk about the end point because everybody sees it, because it went quiet, if you like, a little bit in the middle. But you have to remember, Sonny Bradley we brought in at the start of the window, and he's been brilliant for us. So, and as he gets to know us better and we get to know Sonny better, you can see him just improving all the time as well with performances. And yeah, a few of them, if you like, the later additions to the group, we've just got to give them time to bed in and get used to the group, get used to how we want to play, and that does take time. So it's always the ambition to get bodies in the building as quick as you can. But if not, then we need to give them a bit of time to gel and get used to everybody and get used to how we want to do things.
There's always a sort of, it feels like a core to your team, and same for all managers, of players that if everyone's fit, you can expect them to be selected, like Tendai, people like that. Will we see maybe a bit more variation in your selection, do you think, through this sort of autumn, early winter period, because you've got more options?
Again, I think there's so many different aspects that go into that. So I don't think there's ever one option. Just because you've got options, you want to use it. I think there's a tactical planning with that. I think there's a physicality of, load and minutes that go into that. I think there's, some of the players that want to compete for certain positions are playing well and form. So I don't think there's ever one thing that, what I might want to do might be not the right thing to do for the team. So I think always as a, head coach, a manager of a club, you have to balance all of those things off at the right point. So, what was good on Tuesday, I thought we did a really professional job. Tendai and Tom Bayliss had gone every start so far this season, so we managed to give them a night off as well. So then they freshen up a little bit, and then next time it might be somebody else that we feel like it. So I think we've just got to get the balance of that right, and having the depth gives the options to try and get the balance the best we can.
We had an example in the game the other night of playing out from the back going badly wrong. I'm not asking you to comment on that player and that incident, but is there a problem in football in that there's too much of this and we're asking players that maybe aren't capable of doing it to do it? Because it's not just that incident. We see it, most Saturdays you can sit down and you'll see that incident. It feels like you're quite often happy to go longer, use George's skills to get the ball downfield. Do you understand why maybe fans look at this and in general in football get frustrated to see playing out from the back at times?
I've been in football long enough as a coach to understand the pros and cons with it. I can see why a coach would do it and a team would do it, and I can see why a team wouldn't do it. And I think there's 100 ways to skin a cat. I think over my time as a young coach, things can be quite fashionable, and then things can come back round. And I think in the end, you have to play how you think it fits the group, as well as how you want to play. So I have to adapt a little bit to the lads I have in the building, but that's different for every aspect of every job, if you like. So my job is to make sure we maximise our group, our team, and get the best, if you like, the best profiles into how we want to do things. So I don't think that's being too adaptable, because you have to have your principles, and we talk a lot in the building about these are our principles, and we don't go against them, but we're adaptable in how we apply the principles in what we want to look like. So yeah, I can't really comment too much on the reasons why other teams will want to do it or don't want to do it. But we have our way of playing out, which is not always short, not always long, not always medium. But we try and build a match plan that can hurt teams. But yeah, I think it's a challenge of the game, especially a challenge for young coaches who are probably pressured to play in a certain way because they think that's a certain style that's going to be successful. But for me, it's about managing everything, including how we want to play. And of course, this season we've played some good stuff. And of course, this season we've not played as well as I want us to play, with the ball, without the ball. But I think that's the beauty of coaching. I think that's the beauty of it all, is making sure we get them maximising a group of young men who want to run hard and play well whenever they put a shirt on. And I think this group definitely gives you 100% no matter what.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've talked about this in the past, that where you were when you came into Lincoln and where you are now in terms of what you feel you need in League One, in terms of players, in terms of style of players, certainly evolved.
Yeah, I think, I think probably coming in, learning about the players, learning about the league, I'm still learning all the time. And I think that's probably one of my strengths. I try and learn as quick as possible, and I've got amazing coaches around the team: Chris Cohen, Tom Shaw, Scotty Fry, and Dave Priest. Technical coaches are a big part of what we do. We're quite a young and innovative group, and we keep moving in the right direction and keep trying to improve ourselves. And I think that improves the lads. But like you say, there's got to be lots of learning. I remember coming in to the building, and touch wood, we were conceding quite a bit on set pieces. So we have to learn quickly, what does that look like at League One? And I think sometimes, Premier League football can look different to League One. And I was with a Premier League team, and it can look different. So, but that's not to say League One, League Two, Championship football's wrong or right. It's just like European football can look different to English football. And then it's helping the lads adapt to how we want them to be and how we think we can pick points up in this league.
Wigan as opposition on Saturday?
Very good team, and another good example probably where, one manager last season played in a certain way. This manager this season, probably they pack more of a punch, but they're a little bit more, front-footed. So again, you come up against so many styles, and you have to learn yourself. And Ryan Lowe's team are very tough to play against, and been very successful as a coach with other clubs. But they're a good team. They've got Sadie up front that's doing well. Ryan Trevitt's come in from Brentford. They've got a really strong defensive line. But we think we'll have a plan that we can go and hurt them at home. And hopefully if we perform, and we truly believe that on the day, if we can perform in this league now with the group we have, and like you say, all the incomings, we can be a test for anyone. Doesn't mean it's going to go right. Doesn't mean we're going to win every game of football. But what it means is we've got a real belief in the building that we can have be a match for anybody on the day.
Just right. I appreciate it was a local derby, local rivalry last week, but I thought it was one of the atmospheres that in probably the last 6 months, a year, that has really stood out for the LNER.
It was a fantastic atmosphere, and I think that's partly these players love the fans. I know it sounds nuts. They really believe in the cohort of fans and the support, and I think that generally comes from when we are having a tough time, the fans are really backing the group and backing us. Some fans, I daren't say at other clubs, when it's a tough time, go quiet. And you can really notice when we're having a tough time, the fans stand up and be counted for us. And I think the lads really appreciate that. And, you know, when we're on it and everything's going great and you can feel the rhythm we're in the game, that's always great to support that. But I think what the beauty of the connection between the players and the fans for me is when we're not on it, you know, the fans dig deep with us and they can feel it when we're struggling in games and they help us through. You know, I thought like the atmosphere and the 10 men, they could see how hard the lads were working for a point. Yes, there were things that are out of our control against Mansfield, but they saw how well we started the game and they saw how well we defended with 10 men. There's a real connection between. It feels like a real connection between the players and the fans this year, which is special. You know, like I say, not every club has that, and I truly think there's a real deep connection here with it.